It's kind of slow. There it goes. Good morning.
Morning, Judge.
Just waiting for the defendant. And we'll get started. Sarah, would you check with your client, see if he's going to join us?
I sure did. He said he's logging in right now, and he said
Great.
that like a minute ago.
Okay. He's got a couple of minutes. I just concerned he may have forgotten.
I shared the same concern because he's a client. So I made sure to text him a few minutes ago.
All right. We'll just wait for him to log on then.
He said it's being a bit slow.
Okay.
I sent him a link, or sorry, I screenshotted the notice. So I'm going to try to send him a link right now. Maybe that'll help him. I don't know.
Okay.
Yes.
Are we going next week, Mr. Morales?
Yeah, I believe so, Your Honor. We have a couple set for next week.
Okay. I guess we'll see this afternoon.
Yes, Your Honor.
There he is.
Okay, good.
Let's see if he can connect now. All right. Court calls a case of the state of Texas versus Jordy Hernandez, cause number 2021-0C02150. We're here on an interlock removal. What says the state
Daniel Alejandro Morales for the CI Texas, Your Honor. We are ready to proceed.
and the defense?
Also ready, Your Honor.
All right. What do you have, Ms. Pretty?
So I think I fully understand the interplay between Transportation Code 521.344 and the Penal Code 4909H. So the transportation, let me back up. So of course, we're dealing with a DWI where there were 2 convictions in a period of 5 or fewer years.
Correct.
So the Transportation Code requires a minimum 1 year, max 2-year suspension for cases such as those. Jumping now to the Penal Code, it requires the court to enter an order, and I'm reading my notes here, that requires the defendant to have a device installed and that prohibits the defendant from operating a motor vehicle that is not equipped with that device before the anniversary of the end date of the suspension period that I just referred to earlier. So, sorry, 1 year anniversary. So you're right, absolutely, that Mr. Hernandez and anyone else in the same situation needs to have the interlock installed for 2 years. Here's where I'm having the trouble, and we may not be able to come to an agreement on Mr. Hernandez. Oh, we lost him.
Oh. Okay. See
I'm
if
sure
he'll
he'll
again,
keep trying.
hopefully.
Do you mind if I continue and I can repeat it if, oh,
Here
here.
he is again. Go ahead.
Okay, so trying to remember where I left off. So it may not help Mr. Hernandez in this case, but I think, or it's my take, that the Penal Code does not give county courts or even district courts, in the case of a DWI third, jurisdiction past probation. So I think the solution to complying with the Penal Code requirement, because it's a shall, is required, you are required. I think the solution, and defense attorneys everywhere are going to hate me for saying this, but I think the solution is to not accept probation pleas for fewer than or for less than 2 years in situations like this, so that you have the jurisdiction over that interlock. Because the Penal Code, I don't think the Penal Code gives that jurisdiction. It gives you the requirement to do that, but it doesn't say you have jurisdiction past probation. And I'm basing it off of,
It does say that in 4909H.
it says that you're required to do this.
Right, but it also says that for the purposes of enforcing this subsection, the court retains jurisdiction over the defendant until the date on which the device is no longer required to remain installed. It's towards the bottom of that same statute.
Okay, let me look really quick if you don't mind, just so we can be same page.
Yeah.
This is, hold on, that's the transportation code. Let me switch to Penal.
Believe
Okay,
me, I don't agree with this statute any more than anybody else.
Well,
but it
and
is
so,
the law.
and it may say that I haven't looked, and I believe you. So what's odd about this is the Penal Code usually doesn't give jurisdiction. Usually they'll put it in the Code of Criminal Procedure. And sorry to bring up sex offenders in this case, but this is, you know, if say I'm representing a sex offender who's been registering for so long, I want to deregister earlier. The Code of Criminal Procedure gives jurisdiction to the original court. The Penal Code never gives jurisdiction. It's always Code of Criminal or Civil Procedure, Government Code, Constitution, never the Penal Code. So let me, if you don't mind, do you mind me taking a second just to look that up? And
Go
again,
ahead.
I believe you, I'm just curious about the exact words.
And if I can jump in for a second, Your Honor, it's
Yes,
also
sir.
interesting because the Penal Code also says that if there's ever a conflict between the Code of Criminal Procedure and the Penal Code controls.
Right. It states that as well.
But that's different than jurisdiction. But 09H. And do you mind telling me where is it
Towards
at?
the bottom of that statute, it talks about how you enforce it through contempt. And then it goes on to talk about the jurisdiction and the conflict between the Code of Criminal Procedure and this statute. At the very end.
Right there, okay, no, that's not it. Oh. Okay, I'm not gonna waste your time. I'll look at it later. I asked a million people. So I'll research it more, and literally no one had an answer. If it says that, you're doing absolutely right. And it wasn't that you were doing wrong. It's just I thought there was another venue or way to make it happen. So,
You know, like I said, I don't necessarily agree with it, but that's what it says, so I try to
Okay.
enforce it. Mr. Hernandez, you have maybe another 5 weeks before I can remove it. So I'm sorry. But unless your attorney can show me otherwise, I guess it'll stay on there till June 20th.
and Your Honor,
Okay.
so
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if he knows that. So June 20th is the 2-year anniversary of your suspension date. And so that's when she's gonna sign it instead of September.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're looking at 1 more month, okay?
All
Okay,
right.
and if I find something crazy, I'll contact the
Let
court
us
by
know.
email, because this is, by that point, if I find something, it'll no longer be about Mr. Hernandez and just general law discussion,
Okay. Anything further?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
not from the defense, Your Honor.
All right. You all may be excused. We'll see everybody back